Greg, roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Division 1, Shelley Sorsman.
Here.
Division 2, Keith Dykes.
Here.
Division 3, Frank D'Amato.
Here.
Division 4, Justin Lane.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Parris.
Here.
Division 6, Marlon Barnes. Division 7, Gary Van Dam.
Here.
Wayne Chisholm.
Here.
Lee McElhaney.
Here.
And Holly Hughes present.
Thank you. Item number 4, public comment period open to the public. If anybody in the audience wishes to address the board on any item that is not on the agenda, please feel free to do so now. Item number 5, new business. Resolution number R19-01, honoring Ray Rodriguez's his service upon retirement. Dwayne?
Yes, board president, members of the board, Ray Rodriguez is retiring after 24 years of service. We have a resolution commending him for that. As most wastewater operators, they're very shy and we prefer not to be in the limelight. We would recommend board approval, and we'll make sure that John moves forward and gets in his resolution that he'll undoubtedly proudly hang in his hallway at some point in his new house. I think he's moving to Texas.
Jasper, Texas.
Jasper,
Oh,
Texas.
wow.
Yeah.
Great.
I can move approval of resolution R1901.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a comment. Isn't about half the agency been here 24 years, and
Well,
there's going to be a domino effect happening all in 6 months?
yeah. Well, we have some folks that are getting close to retirement, but fortunately, we've been able to work people up through the ranks, and we have quite a few capable people ready to fill in for those positions.
Anybody else?
Well, I just want to bring up, Ray worked with us for 24 years, and that's an incredible amount of time, and we just have to make sure he's thanked for his service, and we appreciate everything he's done.
Be sure to pass that on.
Great.
Oh, could I say something, please?
Absolutely.
Ray was kind enough to give me and my family a tour of the Roseman Water Treatment Plant about 2 years ago, and please thank Ray for that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6, minutes 6A1, approved minutes of regular board meeting of December 4th, 2018. Do you have a motion?
Move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 6B, Finance Committee. Committee Chairman Donato.
Okay, the Finance Committee met yesterday. I'm going to have, how are we going to do this? Because a lot of these are, can be grouped into, there's signatures, a lot of these are.
Right, there's quite a few things that are just signatures. Probably, even though it's the more tedious way to do it, to go ahead and do them each individually, because that way we have a board order for each particular signature, because they go to different organizations. Some go to the bank and others go to other places. So.
Okay, well, the first item, let's go to 6AB1. Accept the check register list for December 13th, 2018 through the January 2nd, and then January 3rd through 2019 through the 16. I've asked one of them to be, I think, removed until we discuss it further, and that was item on
Yeah, that was on the second set of check registries, and that was for Mason and Mason.
What number was that?
So if you look on page 17 of your agenda packet, it is check number 76061.
061?
Yes.
Yeah, so what I've asked for is, I have an issue with this, a big issue. It was a residence property in part of the High Desert Water Bank that we're acquiring land, and appraiser took it upon himself, which I think is completely wrong. It charges $5,500 to do a $600-800 appraisal. And that's the going rate. I checked again today with the lenders. It runs anywhere from $600 to $800, and to do a basic residential appraisal. And this property is a volunteer. It's not a combination. And I want this to be further discussed, and I want it to be discussed with the contractor, because this is way out of line. Way out of line. And then he charges double mileage because he wanted to go revisit the property for a second opinion to himself. So he charges additional mileage on driving. And an appraiser never charges you, they charge you a flat rate, and whatever goes on within that rate, that's the appraised value. So I think we need to take a look at that. Everything else on the registry from my perspective is good, but I just don't care for what I saw there on that item regarding the. Can we pull that out?
Well, you should be upset at me because I'm the one that approves the expenditure, because I have my reasons. We can go over it before, but I did approve the expenditure, and we did send a check. This is a check that's being sent out, and so that work has been done and agreed upon by me. So I'm the one that you should have a problem with regards to that, because of my decision to move forward with the project.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's already been done, I just.
In the future,
you approved it, but he ripped us off. He should have never ever submitted an appraisal like that fee. That's absolutely absurd, what he did, because that's not a commercial appraisals. Commercial buildings, like something like this, would cost $2,000 to $3,000. Okay, so you're not a professional in the real estate end of it, or would know something like that, but I'm talking about our consultant took advantage of a governmental agency. I just wanted that to be noted for the record. Okay.
Dwayne, did you happen to reach out to him and find out what his justification was for charging?
I haven't had a chance to do that today. I was out yesterday, but I haven't had a chance. But we agreed to follow up with you and at the next finance committee give you a report on it.
Okay, because I would say that he's jeopardizing any future work from this agency. Okay, any other questions?
But I want to compliment you for saying that. I appreciate that. But again, I want to stress that you're not a professional, that the professionally hired should have represented us and represented you in a better way. I just want to make that point clear.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why, as a realtor for over 30 years in residential and knowing how much these things cost, that's because that's in my wheelhouse.
Right.
You have different knowledge and experience on cost, but there should be agency standard, not our agency, there should be real estate standards of what they charge for appraisals, and that's out of this world unless there's something that I don't understand.
Well, we will contact him, get a justification for it, and provide that information back to you.
Okay, thank you.
I know, Gary, you've had a few things done in your life. I don't think you've ever paid for a property. It's been $5,000 from appraisal.
No, No, I haven't.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve the check registry, including noted item from the general manager that we approve the check.
I'll second the motion.
Any additional questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, next item is 6B2, accept and file treasury report for the month ending December 31st. Anything you want to say, Teresa, since you're here? So you gave us a report yesterday.
Would you
Anything?
like me to give a report, or?
Yeah, why don't you? We don't get to see that much here, so it's...
Okay, so first you all have a revised staff report that goes with the treasurer's report. There are two numbers. The first two numbers were revised to include $25,000 worth of interest receivable. The treasurer's report did not change, only the staff report changed. So page 1 of the December 31st, 2018 treasurer's report. Total yield to maturity for the total portfolio, average yield to maturity for the total portfolio for the month ending December was 2.203%, which is up 0.044% from November, when it was 2.159%. Average days to maturity for the total portfolio was 269 days or 9 months. Total cash and investments at December 31st, 2018 was $104,313,966, which is up $17.5 million from November. And in the staff report, it describes the reason for the increases. And one was the timing of customer receipts. They were received in December instead of the prior month. And then also property taxes were received in December of $11.1 million. So that is an explanation for the significant increase.
How much was the difference?
The total $17.5 million?
No, the difference between the year before.
Oh, so the property taxes. If we compare what we've received in property taxes, December 18, compare that to December 2017, it's an increase of $1.4 million. And just a note, PFM will be at the next board meeting to give their fourth quarter presentation. Any questions?
You stated yesterday that one of our, that PFM's coming to our meeting.
PFM will come to the next board meeting, February 12th, for their fourth quarter report.
Thank you.
So I'll move on order 6B2 that we approve the accepted file treasury report.
I'll second.
May the record reflect that Director Barnes came in at 6:35 also. Okay, any questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, so that brings us to 6B3, resolution R-19-02. Adopt negotiated tax exchange resolution resulting from annexation 40-152, LAFCO designation 2018-10 of territories to Los Angeles County Waterworks, District 40, Antelope Valley location within the city of Palmdale. Matt?
And I'll go ahead and indicate what this is. As properties get annexed into either the sanitation district or the water district, there's a agreed upon negotiated settlement as to how the taxes will be distributed amongst the various agencies. This resolution is a way of memorializing that agreement between the various agencies. So we've all agreed on this. It is a very routine matter. We also have another item on the agenda for the sanitation district. Has very little impact on AVEK per se. The percentage change is very minimal, de minimis.
Okay, so I approve board orders, I make a motion to approve board order 6B3.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, resolution number R1902 passes.
Okay, let's go to 6B4, resolution 19-3, designating signatories for the withdrawal of funds.
What this has to
Can I do all three of those?
I would prefer you do them individually if you'd like. You don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want to.
Okay. So I approve that we, I make a motion that we approve R-19-03.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and board order 6B5, that's resolution -R-1904. Make a motion that we approve the designation signatories, which would be, I should say who it's going to be.
It says on it.
Just a change from the board president, vice president, just switches the names.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, item 6B6, resolution R-19-5. I make a motion that we approve that were.
Second.
Any discussion?
On page 57 of 153, I see the general manager's name is misspelled.
Whoa.
Good catch.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Hate it when that happens.
Oh, yeah.
We'll correct that.
Okay.
Chasm.
Did we have a second?
Second.
Okay, great.
Rob.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes with that correction.
Okay, board order 6B7, resolution R-19-6, adopting tax sharing resolution annexation 14-431, County Sanitation District, Los Angeles County. I move on board order.
I second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, board order 6B.
We'll have Justin Lipsey come up and give you that report.
Okay.
Good evening, directors. So yesterday we reported to the Finance Committee on these two agreements. There's two of them which we're requesting authorization for the general manager to execute. One of those agreements is for the MWQI program, which is a DWR program for monitoring water quality throughout the state water projects and the Delta. The other is the specific project committee, which is the state water contractors program, which funds similar but special studies that are of significant interest to the state water contractors. The data that these two programs produce are available in an online data library, which water assistant managers are able to use to make treatment decisions and modify treatment when necessary. For AVEK, these programs are of particular significance because we draw directly off the state water project with no lake or reservoir for blending of our raw water. So These programs help us in forecasting some of the changes in the aqueduct so that we can modify treatment to mitigate THMs and bromate and other water quality issues. So the total of the two programs budget is $3.1 million a year. That's broken down per contractors based on maximum table A amounts. AVEK's share is 5.1% of that, which comes out to about $159,000 per year to support both of these programs. And these two agreements are for a 3-year term, so we'll be committing to $159,000 each year for the next 3 years. Any questions?
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I make a motion, we approve the board order 6B8.
And I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, now we're board order 6B9. The solar project, file notice of completion and release of retention of $833,262.94.
It would be medical to have that, sir.
All right, good evening. This item was reviewed with the Finance Committee yesterday, and both staff and Finance Committee are recommending that we file the notice of completion with NG Solar, and also release the retention after 40 days has elapsed, assuming we don't get any stop payment notices, in the amount of $833,262.94. So we're filing this because we are now 100% complete with our solar project. So this includes a little over 5 megawatts of solar generation at 4 different facilities, including some lighting upgrades, as well as HVAC upgrades. So everything is complete. We've gotten all of our interconnection agreements with Edison, permits to operate, documentation from the contractor for our records. And then yesterday we also previewed with the Finance Committee a new online tool that we have to be able to get real-time solar generation data from each of the 4 facilities to ensure that we're tracking based on the original agreement and the projected savings for the agency.
I'll move on board order 6B9.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, we're now 6B10, an amendment to AV Engineering Agreement for the professional service related to the Operations Center expansion of $30,200. Matt?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Good evening again. This item was also reviewed yesterday with Finance Committee, and both the committee and staff are recommending that the board approve amendment number 2 with Antelope Valley Engineering to their professional services agreement in the amount of $30,200. And this is related to services provided by AV Engineering during the construction phase of this new operations center and laboratory. The original estimate for their services was based on a certain duration of time for construction. And as we all know, the construction period took a little longer for this building to complete, so therefore we needed to keep AV Engineering on board through that duration until we received temporary occupancy for the building. So this amendment covers their fee associated with that time extension with the contract.
Okay.
And I should note that it is within our budget. The board approved a budget back in 2017 to cover things such as construction management, engineering services, and this is well within that budget.
Okay, so yesterday it was discussed, we budgeted $1.5 million for free cost, and tell us about the good news.
Yeah, the good news is currently we have approximately $350,000 remaining.
So we came in under budget.
So we've come in under budget for this building.
Not really.
Well, that's for that portion.
Yeah.
But staff is going to get us a report on what the total cost was and versus the budget.
We're still on our cost, trust me.
Yeah.
Next
But we
year,
haven't reconciled yet.
no, but next year it'll be another 10-15% because of all the new state laws. So you just wait every year, it doesn't matter, we're under budget. Next year, all the houses in California, new homes have to have solar. That's another added $25,000 to $30,000 per house. So you just keep on adding. Who knows, next time they might want to make this into a glass, government glass bowl, so. Okay, so I'm going to Board Order 6B10. Do we approve the $30,200?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, that completes my Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Director Donato. Item 6C, Adjudication AV Watermaster Committee. Director Parris.
Actually, I will take this. So we had a meeting yesterday to discuss some actions that are going to happen at the Watermaster Board tomorrow that I as your representative want to get some direction on. One of the items, if you look at the Watermaster agenda, it should be on your table right there. Action item A is 2019 application fee schedule. If you look on page 31 on the agenda, what we're going to ask the board to approve tomorrow is updating our fees for actual administrative and engineering costs to do some of the actions that we're doing, starting with the small pumpers, the small pumper qualifying documentation application. That's going to remain the same. Monitoring well application is going to be raised by, or it's going to remain the same. Let's see. Do I have where we're doing the,
It's 800.
yeah, to the 620, I see. The new point of extraction application is going to be raised from the 350 to the 620. The new point of extraction is going to be raised from current fee of 150 to 350. The new production application is going to be raised from the 750 to the 850. This is the subject that came up at our meeting that I want to alert you to. The new production application is somebody that has a new property that they're putting in either a residential or commercial well on. And the cost of the actual costs are going to be raised on that by $100, because that's the actual cost that we're anticipating administrative staff and the engineering staff is spending on that. What's going to come out tomorrow is that since we started the Watermaster Board, we had asked our Watermaster engineer to actually stamp approval where it calls for a civil engineer to look at the quantity of water that's going to be used with that well. And the reason we did that is we want to try to make this as affordable as possible to the residents who are getting new wells. The adjudication, one of the requirements is there's a list of requirements that a new applicant has to go through. We have worked really hard on the Watermaster Board to make it, simplify it, make it as inexpensive as possible, along with this raise, which I support, because this is the actual anticipated cost, and if they don't pay for it, then it has to come out of the other fees we get from the Exhibit 3 and Exhibit 4 people. But the problem is now our attorney has told the engineer that they believe there's a conflict for our Watermaster engineer to stamp these, and they're going to be requesting that they go out to outside engineers. Frank and Marlon and I all believe that we need to try to work on finding an alternative to that, because that could get real expensive for something that is really just an administrative action for residential wells. If it's a commercial well, we certainly understand that, and it should be done. So for this, at least the three of us thought that's something that I should bring up tomorrow and see what solution that we can find to that problem. So I just wanted to alert you to that. But as far as the fees concerned, I think we're all in agreement that that's a reasonable fee for the service provided. So anyway, going down to the rest, there wasn't any real discussion about any of the other fees. They're actually what we estimate to be the cost for doing these services, and it should be borne by the people who are doing the services done. So that's item A. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. The committee did a really good job yesterday going through this. I had personally experienced two different situations with the people that called me up for some help, and we have. I believe it'll be handled. I'm believing it'll be handled with the Watermaster. The attorney doesn't understand sometimes when they say things. The attorney for the Watermaster, but I can tell you this will be an absolute crisis nightmare, because I went through the whole process on trying to go through the application part of it. In the 850, that's legitimate, but then they're being told that they have to spend approximately $400 more, approximate, for an outside engineer, that they're going to give 2 recommendations or whatever to put a plot together to plant 10 trees or whatever they're going to do with that. And then that engineer is going to advise how much water they think they're going to use as part of the application process. So just off the bat today, if it went that direction, it would be $1,500 just to file an application. That's not what I'm worrying about. What I'm worrying about is the innocent parties of the property owner who doesn't have any knowledge, doesn't know what he's going to be doing with their property, to even put a plot plan together of what trees and what's going on. The engineer cost could go up to $1,000 to $1,500, and now they become victims of circumstances because there's a rule in place. That's why it's got to be caught now before it happens, because there's going to be a different interpretation when it actually comes to the water engineer. So, I mean, the Watermaster engineer. So I'm just hoping that they can figure this thing out, because the people, all they want to do is they have no problem paying. At the end of the day, I got clarification yesterday. First we heard about it, they were going to have to kind of prepay for water and then be credited off their meter. I got clarification yesterday, that's not the case. The meter will be put on, and then when they monitor the meter, that's when the homeowner will know how much they're going to have to write a check to the Watermaster to give the, I guess, AVEK, and then AVEK takes water to the aqueduct and then recharges the groundwater. So why does there have to be a plot plan of trees if at the end of the day it's going to be 1 to 2 acre foot when it's done? So are we making one extra step that we don't have to do? That's something that needs to be discussed tomorrow.
Yeah, and Frank, the requirements, I mean, we can't change requirements. We can just simplify the process as much as we can. And what we've been doing with the plot plans for residential wells is people are just kind of hand rolling them, and that's working. I mean, we're signing off.
Okay, that needs to be spelled, because I know Pat. I talked to Patty because she's helping out right now, and the person called her and they said you're going to draw it and things like that. But I'm still worried about this engineer. Who is this?
I am too.
Yeah, because who is this? I mean, who are these people that are going to make this decision? Because really, it's like a prerequisite before the actual ultimate Watermaster engineer who really knows what's going on. That's the thing I'm concerned about.
So we'll have that discussion. We'll see what options, and we're going to be looking for options. So is that all I needed to talk about on that subject? Yeah.
We also had item B.
Yeah, item B is the
just as a more of
map.
information.
Yep. So the other item we wanted to make you aware of is item B. There's a memo by Craig Park, our attorney, and the issue, not that it's an issue, is that our boundaries, the adjudication has boundaries. And we find in the boundaries that you might have a plot of land that's half in the adjudication, half out. So the question came up, well, if somebody's, and I think it came up by somebody applying for a well permit, but if somebody's half in and half out, how does that apply? Our attorney, the simple answer is they're in. Because if they put a well in, they're going to go into our aquifer, one of the sub-aquifers. So legally, our attorney's saying it's in, that's what's happening. I think in the advisory committee, and Gary, help me if I'm incorrect, there was some suggestion that's coming tomorrow that we should actually do actual,
Like a legal description.
legal description for our boundaries, which would,
Right.
yeah. I'm guessing to do a legal description of the entire boundaries of what the Watermaster Board is looking at would be in the millions of dollars. So I'm guessing that that probably wouldn't be done. But when I had Matt show me on the map today how it looks and how our boundaries looks and how it's pretty obvious who's in, who's out. If they're partially in, our attorney says we're going to enforce it, and I think that's the right answer. We just wanted to alert the board that that question came up. There might be some discussion about it tomorrow, and if there's some discussion here, we should at least give you the right direction. Well, it's obvious because if half of a property is in our area, if they're going to put a well down, well, what aquifer are they going to be
Okay, but so
taking
what
water
about
out?
the guy across the street that's out of it, that's in that same aquifer, he drills a well?
That's what it says. It probably is, but.
Yeah.
So if I have a property and half of it's in and half of it's out, and I decide to put my well on the part that's outside of it, that's my prerogative.
Well, it is, but legally, our attorney's telling us we're going to enforce it.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
Which one?
No, with if you're not putting a well, it's not in the
Right.
boundary. Because you could have if you have a piece of parcel that's not in the boundary, that's smaller than
Yeah,
you're outside.
Yeah, we actually looked at the map, and I mean, there's some that have just the corner of it in, but according to what.
That doesn't mean he's right.
Well, and I was one of the people, it happened to a client of mine, and I got into the discussion. Here's where I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I knew this was gonna be a beginning of a hornet's nest, because I'm gonna give you one, it's a really good scenario. You got 100 acres, and 25 feet of it is in the legal description, but you're drilling that well on the other part of the 100 acres, on the other side, and who's to prove that that other part is not in that legal description?
Well, one thing we gotta remember is the assessments are gonna be paid on total water extracted, correct? So I think we start there. But I do know the advisory board heard it and agreed with the, going with the attorney, so it's a catch-22. I mean, really, when you look at it, I can see both sides of it.
Guess you could split your property.
Well, yeah.
That would be expensive, and the zoning may not allow it. But either you're in or you're not, and if your property is where you want to put your well is not, I don't understand why it would rule that way, because the guy next door to you is not going to have to, and he's in that same aquifer. But who am I?
You're the
I'm not the
president of our
attorney.
board.
But I'm not the attorney, and I'm not on the adjudication committee. I just.
If you guys want to come to the meeting tomorrow, I don't know.
They
You
can't.
can't.
Well, I guess Marlon and Frank can come.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll be there,
Well,
but
that's the idea behind this discussion, because it's the majority of the board that has an opportunity to give their delegate a direction as to which.
I would ask Rob, or the board have to say the word tell Rod, but basically, I think that should be put off for further discussion before they actually take a vote and create an act, because I agree with the legal description situation, but I can tell you right now that if they believe this is where the line is, where it draws, and nobody can prove it, I don't care what scientist it is, you know, and to drill a well over here, you know, and from everything over here is the legal description, I mean, it doesn't make sense, because there might be a separation because like the garlic fault or the Nenak fault or whatever that separates that vein for there. So all I'm saying is I think it should be at least another 30 days more discussion between the people, because I see people that do have 100 acres and they only have 20 feet in the legal description, and now they have to go through this whole process to do that. Or they could, another way you could do is cheat the system, is go buy a piece of land, another land where there's water outside the legal description, put the well in, and then water to your 100 acres. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, we need to take a look at that, because that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, my opinion is if the well's not inside, no matter where the boundary is, if the well is outside of that boundary, it shouldn't be subject to the adjudication.
Well, that's why I said.
Yeah, so what I would suggest is read the memorandum by our attorney. He has legal present that he's citing why it is the way it is. He was asked that specific question, and we're being asked to take action tomorrow.
I don't think we have a copy of that.
I'm gonna give you another scenario that's not the same, it's kind of like what it is in the water.
It's not on the back of your, yeah, it's on the back of your.
I'm gonna give you another scenario, Rob, on this. I live in Leona Valley, I have 5 acres my house is on. The corner of my property is in the flood zone. We all know if you're in the flood zone, you have to get insurance. I mean, flood insurance, is that correct? I was exempt because I had a 30-foot elevation back to the end of my property, so the insurance company did not require me to have flood insurance and the building permit. See, there was an exception there because, yeah, my legal description is in the floodplain, but because of the elevation, my house would not be flooded. So, I mean, what I'm saying is give it another, my recommendation is give it another 30 days and see if there's any other options that could be a variance that would.
Well, I think one option, Matt and I discussed it today, was if somebody thinks the legal description would take them outside of the basin, then they can pay the cost of getting a correct legal description to show us that. I guess.
But who's going to prove that? Well, I don't think a scientist can even prove that.
Well, no. Then the other issue is hydraulic. If you look at the hydrology and say that this isn't going to be taking it out of our aquifer, I guess they could hire an engineer to come and make that argument. But I think it would be very difficult to work on these issues and plus legally, that's why we have an attorney to tell us what is the legal definition of our boundaries, and he's done that. So I'd suggest you all read this. I think it would be a nightmare to try to say who's in, who's out. If you have a piece of your property in, Craig's telling us legally it's in.
I think Justin had a pretty good suggestion. Is for the legal description, if you drill the well not in the legal description,
I will certainly ask that question if that's something that would, if there's a legal precedent.
I just don't. I mean, it's hard for me to say, yeah, the well is outside of the. I mean, there has to be a clear and definite boundary for the adjudication basin. If the well is outside of it, how can you say that you're? How can you say that you're subject to it? I just.
Well, if you look at it from a hydraulic point of view, you'll indulge me. If you look at it from a hydraulic point of view, the idea that the areas that are outside of the adjudication basin do not have any water-bearing strata, so they should be able to drill a well in a location where they have no hydraulic, no water-bearing strata, so you can't drill a well physically. You can put the well in, but it should go dry, because that's why you create that boundary. It's not an exact science, of course, but that's the indication. I think in in the attorney's defense, I think that's the rationale. When you look at, there's no water-bearing strata, therefore it's not within the adjudicated boundary. Where you have water-bearing strata where you can put a well, that's in the adjudicated boundary, kind of by definition. So, that's why you have this gray area, because those lines aren't accurate as to exactly where all the water-bearing strata is.
Aren't they identified by APN though?
They are. You could very
So
easily, you could move the line to correspond to property.
I can see how that would, you would think that you would have to be have to get a permit and everything if your APN's in the adjudication, but if it's not in the adjudication, you're not part of it.
Well, that's basically what you're defining, is which APNs are in the adjudication is the one that has a little, some portion of water-bearing strata underneath your property.
Can I make a comment? I mean, it's always been known, when it comes to real property, and also for the courts, they have to have a definite legal description, by township ranges. There's parts of this adjudication that nobody has challenged yet, that they use rocks and trees and riverbeds instead of, a physical legal description. Right. And some of these areas we're talking about are borderline in some of those decisions because the legal descriptions were never properly identified at the time. So again, I think there should be a little bit of some kind of variance that should be involved there. Yeah. Something to think about.
Yeah, I agree. Because the line was drawn by a geologist or a hydrologist or someone like that who really didn't worry too much about property lines and other legal descriptions, just kind of followed the contours of where they thought the water-bearing strata was located.
So if you had two glasses of wine, would you draw on the right line?
It could have been a wider line. That's what it's the people on the edge that have the impact.
Okay.
I have one question. How many pieces is there that's in jeopardy of?
We were looking at the map today.
There's probably hundreds of parcels, because it's around the entire perimeter of the adjudicated basin.
3 points is where I had 2 incidents around 3 points in that area.
Right. So then if they're out of the adjudicated basin, puts them in Sigma, or what's that put them in?
Home doesn't have legal, some of the property doesn't have legal description. It was bought before 1850.
Right. But
they use the tree where where the wild turkey sits, and then, things like that.
Right. So they will fall under some water, like Sigma or whatever adapts that.
Yeah, I'll be happy to bring up the board's concerns if you want me to put it over for 30 days for further discussion. I can probably, needs a 5-0 vote, so I can do that. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to be approving what the attorney says, so I don't know what more input we would get.
So it's a tough, there's no cut and dry answer on that. I mean, I still go back to, I think that Justin had the best idea, and it's where the well's drilled. I think that would be one option there. What happens with a legal description, if they drill the well and it comes up a dry well, and they go off the legal description to where it happens to be a good area to drill water, and they drill it, and it's not part of the legal description. I mean,
it might be easier for the attorney, it might be easier for the Watermaster Board to say if your property's in, it's in, but is that the right thing to do? I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Well, question's the right thing to do or the legal thing to do? Sometimes they're not always the same.
Well, I would defer to the committee's recommendation. You met yesterday, right?
Yeah.
well, we didn't really, it was, the recommendation, there wasn't, the recommendation, definitely was on the fee, that needs to be addressed, was the
one issue.
The well fee. This one, I thought it should have been looked at a little longer, because it came from the advisory committee, but I don't think the advisory committee, I don't think everything was presented to them that could have been presented to them when they made that, recommendation.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, we were all there was 11 of us. We were kind of stumped with it too. We kind of, but we did take a side with the attorney, which Craig Pardon is, that's his position, correct?
Right. Yeah, his position is if it travels, it's in.
But doesn't mean he's right.
No.
I'm not saying, the
We
guy's a
agree.
good attorney,
You're
but
right.
I don't believe he has extensive real estate law. That's the thing I'm talking about, and that's maybe needs to be, addressed.
And the committee's goal is for the full board to discuss it together.
Yeah, we haven't had a discussion on any of this for a long time, but this is a really, I see a lot of people that have small parcels of land that are willing to pay the water costs to put the water back in the ground. I don't want them to get hit hard, because this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna walk away from the property, the assessor's gonna have an auction, nobody's gonna show up to buy the property, and guess what? We're not gonna get any taxes. And they're already having problems now, because what's happened is over generations, the heirs are picking up the property right now, and they just wanna dump it, and then somebody buys it, they can't do anything with the property, because it's gonna cost you $100,000 in the near future, just to be able to drill a hole or do something. I mean, we were just talking about earlier, you live in a lot, $45,000 for a meter.
Right.
I mean, so we as a board don't dictate building and planning, but at the same time, we have to look at, what's fair to the general public if they want to do something with that, that property.
Frank, I'm fine if the consensus of the board is to have, I'll bring up our concerns. I'll ask for put back on the agenda 30 days. You guys go ahead and read the legal opinion.
That's fair.
And then I will report back what was discussed at the Watermaster meeting.
And you may want to ask the Watermaster engineer to chime in with regards to the actual boundary of the water basin, because that boundary is supposed to be non-bearing strata, bearing strata. So if you can get water, you're probably in the water-bearing strata, and therefore you should be subject to the adjudication. So.
Well, and we have to remember, as an agency, what our strategic plan goals are, and our number one goal is groundwater basin stewardship, which we've said that we want to provide leadership and collaborate to protect and sustain the regional groundwater basins. So we need to keep that in mind as well.
And this opinion does that.
I understand.
Yeah.
So,
Is this, on this fee schedule for the water transfers, is that only for small pumpers, or is that for everybody? And it says greater than 10 acre feet?
No, water transfers, so it's temporary or less than 10 acre feet. The proposed fee is $650. Permanent or greater than or equal to 10 acre feet is $950. So that's, for small pumpers, wouldn't be transferring.
That's what I so why is it well over tripling for water transfers?
For permanent transfers, more to analyze, and as far as its impact on the groundwater basin, that's why you have more time involved.
Is that a yearly, permanent would be a one-time fee?
One-time fee.
correct?
One-time fee.
Okay, and then a lease would be yearly?
Well, it's according to how long you lease, I imagine, right? Couldn't you could do a 5-year lease on water, it'd be one fee for.
So, yeah, so you'd want to do a 5-year lease
Right.
to save that fee, because if you renewed it every year.
I think what they're talking about, and you probably need some clarification with regards to that, but temporary and a small amount would be 1 year, 1 year lease. Anything over a year would be a more permanent type of increase, I would anticipate. Because there's greater impacts, that's why.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I have a question on the fee schedule.
Yes, sir.
Under well applications, what is the difference between new point of extraction and replacement well.
There's
Yeah, I could probably take a stab at this. So the new point of extraction would be, I'll use a recent example that was approved through the Watermaster, and that was a public water supplier requested to move water that's stored under a previous right to one of their existing wells for recovery. And the other one was replacement well. Replacement well is if you're going to abandon an existing well and replace it in kind on the same parcel.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I have one question. Replacement well had to be 25 feet away, Matt, from the existing abandoned well?
Give me a second here.
there was a distance. There was a distance.
Yeah, I believe there was one. Right.
Yeah, it's a couple hundred feet or something.
Okay, it took way too much time for Watermaster, so.
You did, but I
We
have a
can-
question. Do you have
Oh.
clear direction for your meeting tomorrow? Okay.
You want me to summarize what I think the direction is? The direction is that, except for the replacement well, or, excuse me, except for the new production application, well, even on the fee, the consensus is we're in agreement with me voting in favor of the new fee schedule. But I will bring up the question about the engineering stamp and what alternatives we have for that. For the item regarding the boundaries, I'm going to have discussion about, did they consider if the wells drilled out of the area, it's something we want to look at a little bit further, and if we could put it over for 1 month before we do final approval, and then it gives everybody a chance to go through this. I would imagine talk to their constituents, come back, and then we would make a decision what our direction is for the next Watermaster meeting. I think that's our consensus right now.
Okay, does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Item 60, Water Bank Resources Committee, Director Donato.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and, this is 6D1, this is the amendment number 2 with Kennedy James Consultant for Value Engineering Planning Workshop for the High Desert Water Bank Project. This is basically, I'm gonna have Dwayne talk about it, but basically to give us the idea of what is the best direction to go to save us money.
Correct. It's a high level of oversight review of the project, its various constituents. Value engineering by its definition is to determine the most valuable ways, and not necessarily the cheapest, but the best ways to develop the best project for your intended purpose. And that's what this panel of experts will be doing for 3 or 4 days, reviewing the project and providing AVEK with a report that will indicate that the High Desert Water Bank concept has been thoroughly vetted and reviewed. It's something that's typically done with more expensive projects where you have a greater opportunity to have cost savings or changes in the way you might be able to operate or develop a particular process. And so I look at those kinds of things in order to be able to give you a good analysis of your project. It's kind of a third party outside our review. So it's very appropriate for this type of project at such a high level of $131 million.
Doesn't this help us also that, and not to eliminate it, but it minimizes change orders?
Well, it's certainly going to get us to the point where we have a greater level of comfort that we've done everything that we can to make the project as efficient and as effective as it can be. That's in essence what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay, I move on 6, I move on board 6D1, that we approve the KJ value engineering planning workshop.
Second.
Any questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Now, once we do this, isn't KJ going to do a presentation for the full board, so we can ask that, be done, okay?
They'll come out with a series of information.
It should be, yeah, it's very interesting.
All in favor of amendment number 2 with Kennedy Jenks? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Director Donato. Item number 7, General Manager's Report.
Okay. Board President, members of the board. Let me see if I got this right. Here we go. We've had last few weeks have been fairly wet. We do have a little drying period. One thing you'll notice that a lot of our weather kind of goes in 2 to 3 week cycles. So we'll get a dry cycle for a couple of weeks, and then we'll get a wet cycle. We're currently in the dry cycle for the next 10 days. Good news here, you can see the yellow bars is the amount of precipitation, and the blue bars are what we consider to be average. So you can see we were down a little bit in December, but we made it up in January. So we're looking pretty good as far as precipitation this time of year. Reservoir's in pretty good shape, and you can see that we're over 190%. We are in San Luis, so we're a little above average in San Luis, and it's rising. That's primarily because the San Joaquin River is flowing, so that allows us to increase the pumping at the pumping plant. Yes.
Do we have any carryover water there?
We do. We do have some carryover in San Luis. We don't anticipate there being any areas of spillage until the end of February, and by that time we plan to have the majority of the water moved at that time. You can take a look, this blue line here. Here you can see this, this is the blue line. You can see it kind of going almost directly straight up, and that has to do with those storms. This is in Lake Orville, but as you can see, we're way below. This is the average line, so Lake Orville, it's considered only about 56% of average, so there's plenty of storage space in Orville. Here we have the graphs, and right in here, let's see if we can get this to move. There we are. That's the current graph that we have for San Luis. You can see we're just over what the average line is there. Probably the best news is the snowpack. The snowpack has been really good in all areas. You can see we're right about average, or a little above average. This area here, this is the number, and you can see the big bump in snow. We had 3 to 4 feet in northern Sierra. They also had quite a bit here in the middle basin, and also quite a bit in the southern Tulare basin down in here too. So, you know, as a total, we're 111% of average. That's considerably better than we have been the last couple of years, where we were only about 25% of average at this time the last 2 years. So we're in pretty good shape as far as snowpack goes. Closer to home, you know, our total treatment flow for all of our systems is about 9 million gallons a day. Considerably less than what you would normally see because of the weather, 28 acre feet a day. You can see it's broken up between conventional treatment at 2.3 million and our geopurification at 6.4 million. There's a reason for that, and I'll highlight that in just a minute. If you look at our conventional treatment, you'll see that the Quartz Hill facility is off because we're doing some winter maintenance at this particular time. It'll be back on shortly, and so you've got the Roseman plant that's operating, and that's why you get such a small amount. And then the balance is made up by our West Side Water Bank as we move that into 80th and H. East Side Water Bank at 0.7 million gallons a day. And Bench Ranch, we're exercising that at 1.7 million gallons a day just to make sure those wells stay fresh.
Can you go back for a second?
Sure.
The prior slide, please. So basically, it's probably because of the rain. I'm looking a little for like 50%, not quite, but
yeah, it's just like I say, we're because we have the Quartz Hill plant is off. We're using more of our purification wells to supply that until we get back up and running, and that should be done in the next month or so. This is the time to get our maintenance work done. You know, because the demand is very low. We can what we can do is because demand is low, the water that's in our storage tanks, we can utilize that to deliver to the customers. So. Our water banking, right now we're still, current recharge rates 4.5 acre feet a day on the east side, the west side's off, and so we have a very small amount, and that's what you would anticipate in the winter time. From a water quality point of view, we're well below our goal of 64 parts per billion. And all of our bond performance evaluation tests required by ELAPT were maintained, and we had a 100% pass rate. So good job, Justin. Getting that all done. And our algal toxin testing, third year in a row, we had no micro, whatever that word is, were detected in our finished water, which is not a, is a really good outcome. Not every water agency on the state water project has such good results. We wanted to indicate to you that the agency received some Aqua JPI President's Special Recognition Awards for our low ratio as far as paid claims. So we had work based on our workman compensation program, our liability program, and our property program. So we're doing a fairly good job with regards to limiting our risk and having liability pays out since we're self-insured. Also, I wanted to add this into your understanding here for the rest of the board. I know some of you are already aware of this, but Governor Newsom included in his proposed statewide budget, the water tax in his budget. He's put the revenue in there. It's proposed for the 1920, includes proposal for safe and affordable drinking water and a guaranteed right for that. It's aimed at helping disadvantaged communities to help them fund the infrastructure that they need to be able to get clean and consistent water. This is consistent with SB 623. That was last year's bill that was defeated. The governor's office is undecided whether they're going to advance it as a policy bill or a budget trailer bill. The budget trailer bill is much easier to get through, so we may go that route. You know, the state already has a $14.8 billion budget surplus, and so Aqua has indicated with the California Municipal Utility Association that they'll be proposing a counter proposal to the governor. So that's in the process of being developed and be brought before the governor's office. We expect some very high advocacy and communication and outreach in 2019 with regards to that. So we want to make you aware of this legislative initiative by the new governor.
Well, you already, we knew before he got elected. He was already talking about it, but this week he's already talking about he's gonna want to raise the gas tax $1 a gallon.
Wow.
Yeah.
What defines as drinking water?
What was that?
What is drinking water defined as? Is that any water that comes out of the tap, or how are they gonna tax it?
It's any water that goes through a water meter that is done through a water type of retail or retail type water.
So they can double tax the aqueduct water, and then the retailer is gonna have to pay another
Well, I
tax?
think it's the devil's in the details, of course. The way it was anticipated previously in the last area, it would be collected at the final meter reading. So it wouldn't be a wholesale, it wouldn't be a tax that we would have to pass on. It would be a tax that the retailers that we serve would pass on.
So you mean like the small mutuals, like small mutual company like District, well, they're not, District 40, or like Quartz Hill Water District, or
Right.
White Fence Farms, they would have to charge a tax?
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. And consequently, the problem of how do you administer that and the cost?
Well, I got a bigger counter to that. Where are they gonna pay the staff? Hire staff to become tax
I
collector?
don't care about that, Frank.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna assume that the water retailers are gonna absorb it into their costs. So,
Since when do they care about business?
it also, I neglected for Gary, the assessment is also on fertilizer and sales and dairies. So,
Did they have to go there?
well, I was in the last bill, it's in this one too, so.
All the farmers in the
Yeah,
country,
so-
they gotta go after dairy farmers.
Yeah, well, there's, and all fertilizer things too,
Wait.
so.
Something wrong, what's wrong with horses?
So it's all fertilizer sales. You're gonna hit everybody. And as we all know, it's one of those taxes that doesn't go away, it just gets bigger and bigger with time.
Well, they're not going after chickens, they already let them loose.
Yeah.
It's all free range.
Joanne, thank you for saving that one for me.
Okay. So, some status and updates, as we mentioned previously, we have a Watermaster meeting here tomorrow at 10 a.m. The AV State Water Contractors meeting is Thursday, January 24th at 9 a.m. Is it 9 a.m.?
No, it should be 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. I don't know how that got in there.
That one will be there.
They won't be there, yeah. I was thinking I wasn't gonna be there either. Okay, the CFE roundtable in Berkeley will be on the 7th and 8th. And the Business Outlook Conference is Friday the 22nd. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be in town providing my teeth stay together. Unsatisfaction with their current performance. They recognize that they hadn't performed as they had promised. And consequently, they have gave us a credit for 3 months of the 12-month period while they continue to work for us during that period. So essentially, we're getting 3 months worth of service for free. They have also done a California Operation of Emergency Services grant. They've been invited to submit a formal grant to prepare a local hazard mitigation plan for AVEK. This is what you need in order to be able to get FEMA grants for various types of things that we need to purchase, which is typically one of the classic items that you have is the need for additional generators and emergency generation type equipment to facilitate emergencies. They've also been working with our new Congresswoman Katie Hill and facilitating a visit to AVEK, and also working on some various legislative updates with regards to them. We've been in much greater contact with them. We've already contacted them with regards to the water tax bill. We're going to be in contact with them on a couple of other local projects so that they can be aware. They've been much more active in the last, I'd say last month or so.
That's good, they're kind of at a stalemate now.
Yeah.
The government shutdown.
Government shutdown, nobody's not doing much, but
Yeah.
they're certainly doing what they can as far as they're
Good,
much better than it has been.
good. Okay, number 9, director's report. Let's start off with Director Van Dam. Do you have any comments?
No, it's all good, thank you.
Blaine, Dr. May? Nope. Director Donato?
No.
Director Dias?
No comments, thank you.
Director Barnes?
No. No, thank you.
Okay. Number 10, attorney's report.
No report.
No report. That's what you say every single meeting. I want to hear a report from you.
Next meeting.
Okay. Good. Item number 11, closed session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
For what items?
Oh, for what items?
B, C, D, and E.
I move we go into closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will adjourn for closed session in 5 minutes.